Captain Alex Kane adjusted the strap of his worn leather satchel and leaned back in his seat aboard the small transport ship. The stars outside stretched endlessly, sparkling cold and distant. He had seen many worlds, fought in many battles, and survived situations most people would consider impossible. Yet nothing in his career had prepared him for the small holographic envelope that appeared on his console that morning. The message flickered and pulsed in soft blue light. Its text scrolled across in a language he did not recognize at first. Beneath it, a line in common galactic trade tongue read, "You are invited to the royal wedding of Princess Lyra of Zytheria. Your presence is requested as an honored guest." Alex frowned, rubbing the back of his neck. "A wedding?" he muttered. "I didn't know humans were invited to alien weddings, let alone royal ones." He tapped the console again. The invitation expanded into a three-dimensional hologram, showing a massive floating palace high above a planet that glowed with colors he had never seen before. Spires of crystal shimmered like liquid sunlight, and floating platforms drifted around in gentle, silent orbits. Alex felt a strange pull of curiosity and disbelief. "All right," he said to himself, a grin forming despite the fatigue in his bones. "Why not? I've seen enough chaos to survive one more strange ceremony." Within hours, Alex's ship pierced Zytheria's upper atmosphere. The planet's surface was a swirl of emerald forests, violet rivers, and cities that seemed to float on light. As he landed, he realized that the invitation had not been a mistake. The planet's people, tall, slender, with skin that shifted in subtle colors, gathered near the landing platform. Their eyes, multifaceted and glimmering, studied him carefully. Alex stepped down and instinctively straightened his posture. He had been in tense negotiations with alien civilizations before, but this was different. There was no hostility, no open threat, only curiosity. A gentle hum of harmonic tones filled the air, almost musical, but not threatening. An attendant, draped in shimmering fabric, approached. "Welcome, honored guest," the being said, their voice smooth and melodic. "You are requested in the palace." Alex nodded, offering a small salute. "Thanks. Lead the way." As they walked, Alex noticed subtle glances from Zytherians around. Him. Some whispered, others bowed ever so slightly. It made him uncomfortable, yet a tiny part of him felt important. The palace rose before him like a city carved from crystal and light. Floating walkways connected vast towers, and soft light reflected in patterns that made the entire structure seem alive. Alex was guided through halls where murals shimmered and moved, telling stories he could not understand. Finally, he entered a vast chamber. In its center, a figure stood, radiating elegance and power. Princess Lyra. Her long, flowing attire glimmered with soft luminescence. Her eyes, large, iridescent, and knowing, fixed on him. Alex swallowed. She was beautiful, commanding, and completely alien. The attendants moved to prepare him. Strange robes, glowing jewelry, and intricate ornaments were placed upon him. Alex frowned at the elaborate layers. I don't think I'm ready for this," he muttered. "You must," an attendant said calmly. "The ceremony cannot begin without the groom." Alex's brows furrowed. "Groom?" he asked. "Wait, I'm not the groom. I'm just a guest." The attendant shook their head. "No, you are the chosen one. The prophecy requires it. You are to wed Princess Lyra." Alex froze. He took a step back. "Prophecy? What prophecy?" Before the attendant could answer, Lyra approached him. Her movements were smooth, almost floating. When she spoke, it was in the interstellar trade language, clear but soft. "You may be surprised, human," she said, "but your people are known to us. We have watched humanity for decades. Courage, adaptability, resilience. These are rare. Our prophecy names you as the one who will unite our worlds." Alex blinked, his mind racing. He had fought wars, seen the galaxy's most dangerous creatures, and survived battles others thought impossible. But this? Being the chosen groom for An alien princess? That was on a completely different level of impossible. I don't even know what to say, he admitted. You will say nothing, Lyra replied with a faint smile. Just trust the ceremony and yourself. The rest will become clear. Before Alex could respond, the ceremonial music began. It was not music as he knew it, more like a living sound that filled the room and seemed to ripple through the walls. Platforms rose, glowing softly, carrying other dignitaries to their positions. The air shimmered with anticipation. Alex looked at Lyra. She stood tall, regal, and entirely confident. Around them, the Zetherian audience bowed and whispered. Their eyes were bright, filled with expectation and curiosity. Alex's stomach tightened. He was used to being a soldier, to relying on strategy and skill. But here, in this alien court, he felt exposed, unarmed, and completely human. He took a deep breath and adjusted his robes. All right, he muttered, mostly to himself. If this is what they want, I'll do my best. The attendants guided him to the center of the hall. He noticed the subtle decorations, the glowing symbols, the floating crystals, and the intricate patterns on the floor. Everything seemed to focus on him and Lyra. Every eye in the room was on the human soldier who had unknowingly become the chosen groom. Lyra raised her hand slightly, signaling the start of the ceremony. Alex's heart pounded. He had no idea what was coming next. No clue about the rituals, the meaning, or what was expected of him. And yet a strange feeling stirred inside him, a mixture of excitement, fear, and destiny. As the first ceremonial words were spoken in the alien language, Alex glanced at Lyra. She gave him a small nod, reassuring and expectant. And at that moment, the truth began to settle in. He was not just a guest, he was the groom, and the entire planet awaited his next move. The stars outside the palace seemed to shimmer in silent anticipation, as if the universe itself was watching. The hall was enormous. Light flowed across the walls like liquid, reflecting colors that Alex had never imagined. The platforms floated silently, carrying the alien guests to their positions. Each guest bowed slightly as Alex passed. He felt like he was walking through a river of eyes, each gaze fixed on him. The weight of attention was heavy, but he held his head high. Soldiers learned to stay calm under pressure. He could do this too. Princess Lyra stood at the center of the room. Her robes shimmered, changing colors from silver to soft violet as she moved. Her eyes, deep and luminous, met Alex's. She gave him a small smile, warm, yet commanding. He swallowed, trying to hide the racing of his heart. An attendant approached him, carrying a small glowing object. It looked like a ring, but it pulsed with energy, casting soft patterns on the floor. This is the symbol of union, the attendant said. Place it upon the chosen one's hand. Alex glanced at the object and hesitated. Me? You want me to wear that? The attendant nodded. It is required by the ritual. Refusal is not permitted. Alex's hands shook slightly as he took the glowing symbol. He looked at Lyra. She stepped closer, graceful as a flowing river, and held out her hand. The gesture was simple, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 words. Alex placed the symbol on her hand, feeling a strange warmth pulse through him. The hall seemed to respond. The light shimmered more brightly, and the harmonic tones in the air grew louder. The ceremony began. Words, strange and melodic, floated through the hall. Alex did not understand them, but he felt their meaning. Honor, courage, unity. He noticed Lyra's eyes watching him closely, her expression calm but expectant. It was as if she was reading his every thought. He tried to follow the movements of the ritual. He lifted his hands, bowed slightly, and mirrored her gestures as best as he could. The attendants nodded approvingly, and the guests murmured in appreciation. Every motion mattered, and Alex realized that this was not just a ceremony. It was a test. He felt the eyes of the alien audience on him. Some were curious, some skeptical, but others seemed impressed. He had faced war zones where hundreds of lives depended on him. This was different. Here, one wrong step could offend an entire planet. One wrong gesture could ruin the trust between humans and Zetherians. Alex took a deep breath and focused. Soldiers trained to act under impossible conditions. He could do this. He would do this. Lyra stepped forward, her hand reaching out toward him. A soft glow enveloped her hand and the symbol on his palm. Alex felt an unusual energy, almost like the heartbeat of the planet itself. He lifted his hand and touched hers. The hall seemed to hold its breath. The attendants moved around them, placing floating crystals in intricate patterns. Lights pulsed softly, forming a protective circle around the couple. Alex felt the pulse of energy through the floor, up his legs, and into his chest. It was not frightening, only overwhelming. He focused on Lyra's eyes. She nodded slightly, encouraging him. As the ceremony progressed, Alex noticed something remarkable. The aliens watched humans differently than any other species. They did not see weakness. They saw unpredictability, courage, and ingenuity. Every small action of his was being measured, appreciated, and understood in a way that surprised him. The ritual reached a peak. A series of harmonic tones filled the hall, vibrating through his chest. He felt a connection, an invisible thread linking him, Lyra, and the entire planet. His heart pounded, but this time, it was not fear. It was anticipation. Something important was happening, something bigger than himself. The glow from the ceremony had barely faded when Alex Kane was led into a private chamber. The walls shimmered faintly, reflecting light in waves, almost like water. He had expected a quiet moment to recover, but instead, he found himself facing High Counselor Orin, a stern-looking Zetherian elder whose skin shifted between deep blue and silver with every subtle movement. "Captain Kane," Orin said, his voice deep and resonant. "There is no easy way to explain this. You have been chosen." Alex raised an eyebrow. I know that. Everyone at the wedding keeps saying it. But why me? I'm just a human soldier. Orin's eyes narrowed, and he gestured for Alex to sit on a floating chair. You are not just a human soldier. You are the one the prophecy speaks of. Alex laughed nervously. Prophecy? Seriously? I've faced alien warships, hostile planets, and rogue AI, and now a prophecy? I can't even understand it. Orin's tone grew more serious. Humans are unique. Your species survives where others fail. You improvise when there is no plan. You act when others hesitate. For centuries we have watched your kind, learning from your victories, your courage, and your unpredictability. Zetheria has awaited this moment. Alex leaned back, trying to process the words. Wait, so you're saying some ancient prophecy predicted I would marry the princess? Yes, Orin replied. A human from the stars would arrive when the balance of our world required it. That human would unite our people, bring harmony, and guide Zetheria through challenges that no native could face alone. Alex ran a hand through his hair. And if I say no? Orin's expression hardened. Refusal would bring dishonor and disrupt peace. Your people would be respected less. Our two worlds could drift apart. This is bigger than any one individual, Captain Kane. This is about unity, survival, and destiny. The room was silent for a moment. Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had always acted to protect others, to fight for the impossible. And now, for the first time, he realized that his actions could affect not just lives, but entire civilizations. Before he could respond, the door slid open and Princess Lyra stepped inside. Her presence filled the room with calm authority. She moved gracefully, her glowing robes brushing the floor, her eyes fixed on Alex with a mixture of curiosity and respect. You've been told the truth, Lyra said softly. I am not just a princess. I am the guardian of my people, and you are meant to stand with us to help guide our future. That is why you are here. Alex blinked. I don't know if I can do this. I've survived battles, sure. But this? A prophecy? A wedding? I've never been in anything like this before. Lyra smiled faintly, a gentle light in her eyes. That is why you were chosen. Humans are unpredictable. You act where others cannot. You see possibilities that we cannot. Courage is not just about fighting. It is about choosing to act when the world expects hesitation. That is why you are the one. Alex's heart pounded. He had faced countless threats, but this was different. The stakes were no longer just life and death. They were about trust, unity, and hope for an entire planet. I guess I understand a little, Alex admitted. But it's still a lot to take in, and what if I mess it up? Lyra stepped closer. You will not fail, not because it will be easy, but because humans are not easily defeated. You have survived what others cannot even imagine. That is the strength we need. Alex nodded, slowly, feeling a mixture of fear and resolve. All right, I'll do it. I'll accept my role. But I need to know everything. What the prophecy really means, what's expected of me, and what dangers we might face. Oren and Lyra exchanged a glance. Oren gestured toward a glowing map on the wall displaying the stars in nearby systems. There are forces in the galaxy who would oppose this union, Oren said. Factions who seek to control Zytheria or manipulate the prophecy for their own gain. They see a human as a threat to their plans. You must be prepared to face them. Alex's military instincts immediately kicked in. So we're talking battles, tactical threats, not just ceremonies and rituals. Lyra nodded. Yes. And not all threats are obvious. Some are subtle, political, or even hidden within our own ranks. That is why you must understand our people, our customs, and the weight of this prophecy. You are not alone. I will stand with you. Alex looked at her, realizing that her calm confidence was exactly what he needed. Then we do this together. You and me. We face whatever comes. A silence fell over the chamber. Outside, the palace shimmered in the evening light. The city of Zytheria seemed peaceful, but Alex could sense the tension beneath its beauty. The prophecy was real. The wedding was just the beginning, and the galaxy was watching. Oren spoke again. You must rest tonight, Captain Kane. Tomorrow the final preparations for the ceremony will begin, and soon, the galaxy will see why humans are more than allies. Humans are essential. Alex nodded, still absorbing everything. He had been chosen, thrust into a destiny far beyond anything he had imagined. He was a soldier, yes, but now he was also a symbol, a bridge between worlds. As he lay in the quarters prepared for him, Alex stared at the stars outside the palace window. He thought of Earth, of his comrades, of the countless battles he had survived, and he realized something profound. Humans were not just capable, they were extraordinary. Somewhere, in the vastness of the galaxy, destiny had chosen him for a reason, and now he had no choice but to rise to it. Just as he closed his eyes, a sharp alarm echoed through the palace. Red lights flashed. High Counselor Oren's voice came over the intercom. Attention! A rival faction approaches. They claim the prophecy is misinterpreted. Captain Kane, your courage will be tested sooner than expected. Alex sat up, gripping the edge of the bed. The weight of the prophecy was no longer theoretical. The danger was real. And he realized this was his chance to prove not only his courage, but the extraordinary nature of humanity. The stars outside Zytheria's palace shimmered as if responding to him. The human soldier, unaware hours ago of his destiny, now faced the challenge of a lifetime. He clenched his fists, determination hardening his features. Let them come, he muttered. I've faced worse, and I'll survive this too. Outside, the palace seemed to hum in anticipation, ready to witness the courage of a human, chosen not by chance, but by destiny itself. The soft glow of the palace faded as alarms blared through the halls. Red lights flashed violently, painting the walls in urgency. Captain Alex Kane's instincts kicked in immediately. His hand went to his side, checking the small blaster holstered there. The wedding hall, once serene and full of celebration, now buzzed with panic. "Captain Kane," High Counselor Oren's voice echoed over the intercom. "A rival faction approaches. They claim the prophecy is misinterpreted. Protect the princess at all costs." Alex's heart raced, but he didn't hesitate. He had survived countless battles, but never had the stakes felt so personal. Not for a crown, not for a planet. This was for a future that stretched far beyond Zytheria. He ran through the hallways, Lyra close behind him. Guards, elegant and precise, moved to defend the palace. Yet Alex noticed a difference. Their fighting was graceful, almost ceremonial, but it lacked the improvisation he relied on. That was where humans excelled, adapting, thinking on the fly, and turning chaos into advantage. The first wave of attackers struck. They were swift, armored Zytherians from a rival faction, their weapons pulsing with alien energy. Alex didn't pause. He dove into the fight, using human combat techniques the aliens did not expect. He disarmed opponents with clever feints, used the environment to his advantage, and anticipated moves with the instincts honed through years of warfare. Lyra moved beside him, striking with precision, her agility complementing his unpredictability. Together, they were a striking team. Where Lyra was calculated and precise, Alex was bold and adaptive. It was a combination the attackers had not prepared for. One attacker lunged at Lyra from above. Alex's reflexes were faster than thought. He grabbed a floating decorative crystal from the hall, swinging it to intercept the strike. The energy discharged harmlessly against the crystal, and Lyra avoided the attack easily. She gave him a brief, impressed nod. "Not bad for a human," she whispered. Alex smirked. "I survive. That's what we do." The attackers faltered under the unexpected tactics. Cytherian guards watched, unsure at first, then began to adjust, following Alex's improvisations. He directed them, combining human logic with their graceful fighting style, turning chaos into order. Outside the palace, ships hovered, ready to strike. Alex realized the battle was bigger than the hall. It could spread to the entire city. "Lyra," he said, pointing toward the palace entrance. "We need to secure the perimeter. Keep the civilians safe. We'll draw them into a controlled space." Lyra nodded, trust evident in her eyes. She turned, using her speed to create a barrier between the attackers and the guests. Alex moved to the entrance, evaluating the incoming forces. The rival faction was skilled but rigid. Their tactics were predictable compared to humans. He adjusted his strategy, calling out directions to the guards. "Move left. Use the floating platforms. Trap them here," he barked. Every instruction used the palace's structure to their advantage. The floating platforms, the glowing symbols on the floor, even the crystal walls became tools in the defense. The attackers were caught off guard. They had expected a ceremony, not a battlefield. Alex exploited their confusion, using a maw. The palace gardens were alive with gentle light as Captain Alex Kane followed Princess Lyra along the glowing paths. Bioluminescent flowers swayed in the soft breeze, and small streams of liquid crystal reflected the moons above. The air was calm, yet Alex could still feel the tension of the recent attack lingering in every corner of the palace. Lyra walked with her usual grace, her robes flowing like liquid light. She glanced at Alex, her multifaceted eyes calm and steady. "You handled yourself well during the attack," she said softly. "I expected courage, but what you showed, it is more than that." Alex gave a small shrug. "I just did what any soldier would do. Protect, survive, adapt. Nothing heroic." Lyra tilted her head, her gaze thoughtful. "To us, it is heroic. And more than that, it is human. Humans are unpredictable yet capable of inspiring hope. That is why you were chosen, not just for strength but for heart." Alex paused, thinking about the words. He had always survived by relying on instinct, skill, and strategy. But Lyra's words made him realize something new. Being human meant more than fighting, it meant being able to connect, adapt, and inspire. He felt a strange warmth at the thought. They reached a quiet terrace overlooking the city. Lights shimmered in patterns along the floating platforms, and the twin moons reflected in the streams below. The peaceful view made Alex feel a little lighter, as if the weight of destiny had eased for a moment. "I still don't fully understand all of this," he admitted. "The prophecy, the rituals, the wedding. It's overwhelming. How am I supposed to know I'll do the right thing?" Lyra stopped and turned to face him. "You do not need to know everything. That is why you were chosen. Humans do not rely solely on tradition or expectation. You act when it matters, even when unsure. That is what Scifi needs, a partner who brings clarity in chaos." Alex nodded slowly. The words resonated with him. Soldiers acted in the moment, relied on instinct and adaptability, and often succeeded where rules and plans failed. Perhaps that was why he was here. "You and I," Lyra continued, her voice soft but firm. "We will stand together. Your courage and unpredictability, combined with our knowledge and tradition, will create something neither of our people could achieve alone. That is why this union matters." Alex looked at her, feeling the weight of her trust. For the first time, he realized that his presence meant more than ceremonial duty. He represented a bridge between humans and Scifi, a symbol of unity and strength. The palace attendants appeared, preparing for the second formal ceremony. This one was designed for celebration, not chaos. Decorations floated gracefully in the air, casting patterns of light across the gardens. The soft hum of harmonic tones filled the space, creating a serene and uplifting atmosphere. Alex adjusted his ceremonial robes and glanced at Lyra. "I have to admit, I'm nervous. Even after everything we faced, standing here feels different." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing softly. "It is natural to feel this way. Ceremony is not just ritual, it is a bond, a promise, and promises are sacred. Do not worry about perfection. Trust yourself. Trust me." As the ceremony began, Alex followed Lyra's lead. He mirrored her movements, placed his hands where required, and met the eyes of the assembled guests. Each gesture carried significance, yet he moved with a natural rhythm, guided by instinct and trust. The audience watched intently, whispering among themselves. Alex noticed nods of approval from elders and dignitaries. They had seen humans before, but never one who could balance courage with composure, action with respect. He realized that even in a room of centuries-old tradition, his presence brought a spark, a new energy that encouraged unity. Lyra extended her hand, and Alex took it. A soft glow enveloped their joined hands, the air vibrating gently with energy. The harmonic tones rose and the floating crystals aligned in a perfect circle around them. The moment was more than ceremonial. It was symbolic, binding their lives and destinies together. "Captain Alex Kane," Lyra's voice echoed clearly. "You have proven yourself not only in courage but in understanding and heart. Will you stand with me now and in the days to come as partner, protector, and equal?" Alex's chest tightened. He thought of the battles he had survived, the lives he had protected, and the countless challenges he had faced. And now, he stood, here recognized not just for survival but for who he was as a person, a human capable of inspiring hope and uniting worlds. "I will," he said firmly. "I will stand with you. I will do everything I can to protect Scifi and its people." The audience responded with gentle, harmonious applause. Floating lights danced in celebration, and the palace seemed to shimmer brighter, as if acknowledging the bond forming between human and princess. Alex felt a profound sense of belonging, a connection that transcended species, traditions, and worlds. After the ceremony, Lyra led Alex to a quiet balcony overlooking the glowing city. The twin moons reflected in the streams below, casting a serene light across their faces. "You were remarkable today," Lyra said quietly. "Not just as a soldier, but as a human. Humans are capable of things we often cannot imagine. Alex smiled faintly, looking out at the glowing city below. I just did what I always do, but I feel different, stronger, connected. Lyra nodded. That is the essence of unity. Courage and trust combined with heart create something extraordinary. You have shown us that, Alex. You have shown us humanity. Alex took a deep breath. He had survived countless dangers, but this was different. Here, among alien worlds, strange customs, and glowing moons, he had discovered a new kind of strength. Not just physical, but emotional and moral. Humans were not just survivors. They were capable of greatness. As they stood together, the city of Scifi glimmering below them, Alex felt a sense of hope and purpose. He had entered the palace as a visitor. Now he was a partner, a protector, and a symbol. The future was uncertain, yes, but he knew one thing. Together, he and Lyra could face any challenge. The stars above shone brightly that night, a quiet witness to the courage, trust, and unity that had formed in the heart of Scifi. Alex Kane, the human soldier, had not only accepted his role, he had embraced it, and in doing so, had become part of something far larger than himself. The palace of Scifi shone brighter than ever under the twin moons. The gardens glimmered, and the floating platforms hovered gracefully, as if the planet itself celebrated the union of Princess Lyra and Captain Alex Kane. Yet the calm was deceptive. Outside the protective force fields, distant shadows gathered, enemies who had not forgotten the human soldier who had turned the tide in their first attack. Alex stood at Lyra's side on the balcony, surveying the horizon. His hand rested lightly on the hilt of his blaster, his mind alert. Though the last attack had been repelled, he knew the galaxy was filled with factions who would test his courage, challenge the prophecy, or try to undo the fragile trust he had helped forge. Lyra's hand found his. "Are you ready?" she asked, her eyes steady and unwavering. Alex nodded. "I've survived worse than this, but I've also learned that sometimes the best weapon isn't a blaster. It's thinking, adapting, and using what you have in ways no one expects." A ripple passed through the force field, faint but noticeable. The rival faction had returned, this time with larger ships and advanced energy weapons. They sought not just to disrupt the ceremony, but to conquer Scifi. "Captain Kane," Oren's voice came over the intercom. "They are stronger this time. We need a strategy that combines human unpredictability and Zetherian precision. You lead." Alex took a deep breath. This was what he had trained for, what he had survived countless times, but never for the sake of uniting worlds. He turned to the Zetherian guards who looked to him for guidance. "Listen carefully," he said. "They expect us to fight like they fight. That's a mistake. We'll use the palace to our advantage, the platforms, the crystals, the gravity currents, everything can be a tool. Stay alert, adapt, and trust each other." The attackers moved in swiftly, expecting chaos. Alex had already positioned the guards strategically. Using the palace's floating platforms, they funneled the enemy into narrow corridors and gravity traps. Alex moved with speed, precision, and intuition, disarming opponents, redirecting energy blasts, and creating openings for the Zetherian soldiers to strike. Lyra joined him on the front line, her movements elegant and lethal. Where Alex improvised, she executed perfectly timed strikes. Together they were unstoppable. Humans had adaptability, Zetherians had discipline, and together they were more than either side alone. One enemy ship broke through the outer defenses, heading toward the central palace. Alex acted without hesitation. Using a combination of magnetic pulse generators and the palace's energy conduits, he disabled the ship's systems, sending it crashing safely into a remote platform. The attackers froze, stunned by the ingenuity of a human they had underestimated. Lyra's eyes met his, a flash of admiration in them. "You truly are extraordinary, Alex. This is more than courage, it's brilliance." Alex grinned, even as energy blasts struck nearby walls. "It's human nature. Adapt, improvise, survive, and inspire." The final wave of attackers tried to push through the main hall. Alex anticipated their movements, using floating platforms as barriers, energy channels as traps, and the ambient harmonic resonance of the palace to disorient them. Every move he made was precise yet unpredictable,